Peaches!
Welcome to our 23rd episode. I'm Erica.
And I'm Joyce!
Hello!
Hello.
Happy public holiday!
Ooh! Love a public holiday.
Yeah, especially it happens in midweek, right?
Yeah. Do you like a Tuesday holiday?
I've never really had a Tuesday holiday, actually.
That's true. I don't mind it.
But it feels good because, well, for me, it's a long weekend. It's
And
a
tomorrow's
super long
tomorrow's
weekend.
Sunday.
Oh, yeah. It's
So
time
you're
to drink
already
up.
halfway through.
Yeah. You know what? I've set a new rule for myself.
Hmm?
I need at least 3 days of sobriety every week, and that's it.
Oh, thank
so
you.
I can drink for 4 days a week.
You will drink for 4 days a
I
week?
can.
Oh.
Doesn't mean that I have to, but I can.
But how did it work for you before? Like, how often did you...
Drink?
Yeah,
I didn't really keep count, but
yeah.
you know, sometimes like after work, coworkers come over and be like, "Oh, let's grab a pint of beer." I mean, it's just a pint of beer, it's nothing. But when you come to think of it, if you drink every single day of the week, that's a little too much for
I think
my
so, yeah.
liver.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Gotta
3
take
days.
care.
3 days of sobriety every week.
So how... You sound really happy. Why don't you rate... And awake, why don't you rate your week?
9 out of 10. Bam.
Wow.
Because I just went to the land of all dreams. Is that a word for it?
Is it
all magic? Where magic happens.
Yeah. Is it true that Disneyland is the happiest place in the world? Does it give you that mood? I feel like it does give you that magic.
Yeah.
Every time I go, like, it doesn't matter what I had prior, but as soon as I go, I feel like... I think it's the childhood thing that kind of gives you
Yeah.
that kind of... You're creating memories. You're back to where you're, like, so pure and so
Yeah.
happy, genuinely.
And you're surrounded by kids, and
That's true.
obviously kids are like, carefree and only care about what they were, what they have, what kind of headbands they're wearing. in Disneyland.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Everything is so pure, so easy,
Yeah.
and just fun. Oh, that's good. 9 out of
so much
10.
fun. You know what? I actually read from an article.
Mm-hmm.
The most ideal job, the happiest job on earth, is actually is actually a Disneyland. What do you call that? They call it like a dream engineer, something like that. So
What do you
basically,
do?
what they do is they just like put in all their imagination
Mm-hmm.
and then think about composing a project and then just making something out of it. It's just like any kind of imagination, any kind of theory. They just think about it and then they try to make it
Happen?
True, make it happen.
Oh, okay. So
So
it's not
yeah.
necessarily a ride specifically. It's just like anything that is within Disneyland, like a concept.
Yes, any concept.
Huh.
Yeah,
It's a good job.
it's a job, and it's one of the most highest paid jobs.
You know, LinkedIn jobs. I mean, not recently. Like when I was searching for a job, like late last year,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at, because Disney poses a lot of jobs, right?
Yeah.
Almost every job, or like even the more fun ones, it's like over 150 applicants or 200 applicants
Yeah.
within like 5-6 hours or something. That's when you know.
That's when you know. I wouldn't be surprised though. I actually applied to Disneyland when I was in college. I didn't get in, obviously.
For what job?
For MT,
Okay,
management
okay.
trainee.
Okay, that would have been fun, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, how's your week? Please rate.
I don't know. I actually don't know. Maybe like a 7.7.
Okay. Not
8
bad.
is a little too high. 7.7. I'm like not. It's like not bad. Not like the most fun. But I feel like I'm always like that. Which is, I think this is actually a good thing. It's consistent, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I'm a little tired from the sun, so less energy than you tonight. But that's fine. You will carry it. I believe in you.
Yeah, I can imagine me going back to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's put that.
Oh my god.
Let's not think so ahead of ourselves.
That's actually less than 24 hours.
But we get to do this now, so that's fun.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, what's the topic this week?
This is an interesting topic. I think what you can explain why we want to talk about this,
Sure.
but the gist of this is why we think manners slash etiquettes are necessary. What we're gonna depict or kind of like break down and say and kind of talk about why we think some are necessary, some are not necessary, in what situations we find them helpful, in what situations we use a lot, and then you're gonna share some unpopular opinions about it. And I think it's, for me, I would be very excited with this topic because it's not, I've never really learned it through high school, through my educations.
Yeah, there's no textbook.
There's no textbook rules or guide rules for this. I was learned this through my parents. I was learned this through my upbringing, through social situations, through my career. So everything was very self-taught, and it's really great that we can have this sit-down conversation to kind of go over these in a more structured manner, or like a conversation, you know. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, this topic, the reason why I actually think we wanted to, I mean, at least I wanted to do it, it's because it actually came from a conversation that I had with my friends the other day. One of the friends, he's saying that there are certain stuff that he does with his parents when they like for lunches, for meals.
Yeah.
And then even though he's like already like a 30-some-year-old dude,
right,
his parents would be saying that, oh, this is bad manner, and then this is like, you should do this, you should like say thank you. So it's as simple as that. Like a waiter came over, you're already like, oh, I'm going for, okay, so he came over and he ordered food. And then it's just a fast food shop, right? And because he ordered food and he walked away, and then parents would be like, you should have added thank you again after you ordered food,
right?
Next, stuff like that. So sometimes I'm just like, are those manners really necessary? Or a lot of them is just like a little overrated. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to kind of like have a conversation to kind of dive down, like,
yes,
what are some specifics?
Yeah, to peel the skin,
onions.
Yeah, the onions. Yes, exactly.
Okay, interesting. Do you think good manners and etiquettes are necessary in your life, and why?
Honestly, I would say it's etiquette. In the sense that, it's just because some people started doing it, a lot of people started doing it, so it's
kind of like a norm.
Yes, you're born to believe, you grew up believing that, oh, you need to do it. If, say, imagine a world without thank you, where no one says thank you, then why the hell would you want to say that? Like, it doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't add any value into your life, into your conversations with people.
Interesting. Right? I actually never thought about it that way.
It's just a random thought. I mean, I said that, but I would still say thank you because
it's the norm.
Yeah, it's the norm. And I say sorry all the time. I say sorry actually almost way too often. Like I came to that realization when I was like playing tennis,
right,
with people, and if it's my fault, I say sorry. If it's someone else's fault, I still say sorry. I'm just like apologizing all the time. And I do that because it's like one of the tennis like etiquette.
Right.
Yeah, but
okay,
also,
I understand.
Yeah, I'm already very used to it.
Okay. I think for me, what manners... Wait, what was our question? Oh, is it necessary, right? Yeah.
Yeah, is it necessary? Is it just an etiquette, or is it like... Is it a norm, or is it like, do you think it's actually necessary?
I think it's necessary in important situations, and I think we can dive down into what important situations we think it is, what that means. And for me, I think it's necessary because that's the only way that I show... No, that's not the only way, but that's one of the ways that I can show respect to other people and show empathy and respect. Because if I'm not close with this person, right, how do I want them to know that, like, I have good deeds and I respect them. I mean no harm. So how do I structure myself in a way that seems like in a community, that seems nice, and I'm like I'm mature, right? Like I want people to perceive me that way on the outside. So I think the only way that we could kind of perceive ourselves this way to outside world is to show manners, because it's just kind of like the norm, right? There's no other way.
See, that's the thing. It's a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people stop doing it, then you don't feel it necessary to show a manner just so people perceive you as like a respectful human being, or that you respect them, the other way around.
Interesting.
I don't know, it's just there's no
right or wrong again, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just making others to feel like you're appreciated, right? Instead of, because the obvious is kind of, how to break it down, like the obvious way to kind of present it is that manners is like kind of for me is an equilibrium of like staying respectful and appreciative, and then if you kind of ignore that sometimes, then your other conversations or language that we use might seem rude, right?
True.
That's just the way we balance conversations now, no?
Ooh, I have a question though. So there is a person that you meet for the first time, I don't know, a friend's friend, so an acquaintance. He or she appears to be rude at first instance. Like your first impression of that person is like rude. Okay. But then later you grew to know that person a little more, and other stuff that he does is actually like, it's like, how to put it, it's very pleasant. Like he's a very pleasant human being. He's just like rude in the sense that it doesn't have much manner. Okay. So how would you still rate that person? Would you still want to be friends with him or her, or you're just like, no, I can't deal with ill-mannered people? Or you just perceive him as, maybe he's just like blunt, straightforward?
Then in that case, because for me, I wouldn't want to be friends with him, because manners is actually a built-in system, and it's been engraved for the longest time. I don't know the history back then, and it's been something that I think most of us believe in, and it's built in. We're educated by it when we were young from our parents. It was brought down from our parents too, and it's been a social norm for a long time, right? It's not just recently in the 20th century. I don't think it's that. Yeah. Therefore, I would say this person, it's kind of choosing to be a little selfish and reluctant, and just kind of like, I'm just gonna like be myself, and like, I don't think that's understanding. Because we collectively as a human being know that manner is like a thing that's been on earth for a really long time, right? So it's not like a new profound find.
Yeah, true.
So that's why I would be like, I would kind of have a second thought to him.
Hesitate.
Yeah, I would hesitate. I would just be like, like maybe it's not maybe he has some kind of ego issue or some kind of thing that he really doesn't care about manners, right? Because obviously it's important to society because it's been around for a long time. So that's just my outlook on it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I was just thinking, what is the one thing that is like the most unbearable? Like, what is the one thing that he would do if he's such an interesting person? Like, you really like him so much as a friend. Yeah. But there's one thing that he do that is like the most, like with the most ill-mannered, and there's like the most to your breaking point. It's just like, it's a deal breaker. What is that one thing that he would do that would like trigger that?
It's a good question. My brain is like not smart today, but I'll give you an answer. I think it's very basic, because I would say a normal human being would know when to say thank you. So if say maybe I did something for him or I bought something for him, and maybe his reaction was like
taking it for granted.
Exactly. Like I would be like, that's very, very disrespectful, right? Because I went out of my way to do something for you, I care for you, but the response that I got was not reciprocated.
Okay.
So it's like, say maybe I gave him a cake or something, I don't know. And yeah, I bought him a cake for his birthday because awesome norm. And then his reaction is just like, it's whatever. Cake is whatever for me. Nah. Then I'll be like, oh, but that's actually a very selfish response to that, right? Because it's the gesture of everything. So so that's very just on top of my head. How about you? How do you see the whole thing? You asked this question for a reason.
No, just off the top of my head, I think if I don't know if I'm contradicting myself, just say it if I am, but if he's just like not saying it out, but he's actually showing some sort of meaning it, like say if I gift him something, he would appreciate in a sense where he would in his own way give me something in return, not to actually give me something like an actual thing, but like when I ask him for help, ask him for a favor, he would do it, then I would still be okay with it. But my breaking point would probably be someone that I care about, like my parents.
Right.
Yeah. I don't really approve of someone who like be rude to my parents, because first I think respect your seniors it's very important, and also I mean those are my parents. I can be rude to them, you can't though.
Why do you think we need to respect our seniors?
This is again a social norm. I mean, honestly, I respect seniors in general, but I also don't respect all seniors, because I think there's this term called philo. You understand that? You know what that means? Philo. There's a term coming from as a Hong Kong slang. Anyways,
is it new or old?
It's
slang.
It's been around a few years.
Okay.
It's literal meaning is like rubbish senior. So what that really means, to my interpretation, is that someone who has always been this like trashy or this like rude, just because that someone grows older and becomes a senior doesn't make him a better person. And in that sense, I wouldn't respect him regardless of his age. Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying they're using their age to kind of hire themselves, to kind of level themselves, leverage themselves.
Exactly. I think a lot of people do that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I guess the other part is like, oh, these are the people that. I mean, there's different type of parents, of course, right? There's respectful ones, and there's like these arrogant ones, right?
But I mean, like if I am your friend, and those are your parents, unless they do something like really, really like crazy or like it's like stepping on my own borderline or comfort zone or whatever, I would still respect them, even though maybe I deep down don't agree with their principles or like their behaviors, because they are your parents. That's how I show respect to you as a friend. Yeah.
I think the only way that I could link is like, why would I show respect to like seniors or elderly people who are older than us, right? I think it's not like it's more like, it's not that I respect, it's not about me respecting this specific person because they're older. It's more like because I respect them because of their wisdom.
See, that's the thing, when they have wisdom, but what if they don't have?
They have to not 濫用 their wisdom. They have to use it wisely, right? Which is in everything, right? Like
true.
With tying back to this manner thing, is like, manner for me is essential, but when it becomes overly excessive, that's when it's not necessary.
Yes.
Because I think it's important to use it at the right time, right place, socially. Yes. Because it's engraved in us. But when you use it to hide some flaws, when you do it inappropriately, excessively, abusing the aspect of it, you're actually demolishing the principle of manners.
Yeah, agreed. So that brings us to our next question. So have you ever been taught, or have you ever, learned? I've been taught and learned. Sorry. Some manners that you think are unnecessary, or just a little bit pretentious in nature.
I actually never found, to be honest, I've never been taught a manner and find it unnecessary. Like, it's more like, I've been taught it, and then I'm like, oh, good to know. I either put it in my manners bag, or it's just like I don't really care and it's just out the door, right? Means unnecessary, right? But
yeah.
So I think one of the ones that we actually put down was like the food one. The leave little food on the plate after your meal to not.
Yeah, that
is really weird. Or there's this one thing where is it more, correct me if I'm wrong, is it more of a Chinese dining etiquette where you're not supposed to act like you're hungry at a family gathering?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm always the one who's like, I'm hungry.
You know why? Because like people say like, also elderlies, they're like, wow, or like like it's like it equals. Maybe I heard it somewhere. It was like it equals some kind of like I don't know that.
Really?
Yeah. But that's not how some elderly see it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're supposed to be like, because normally when in a Chinese kind of more traditional kind of family dinner where you have elderlies, where you have cousins, uncles, blah blah blah, everyone. My understanding is like I'm normally just like, oh, you go first, and it's like that's in the sense saying that I'm actually not that hungry. Like I respect you go first, and then when it comes to you kind of only just get the right amount. You don't pour it all over your plate. You don't overflow your plate.
And and when you're like in a family gathering, you're not supposed to be the one to like finish the meal, the last piece of food in that particular dish.
Yes. So that's why there's always one thing and one dish. Anyways,
that's just waste of food to me. And you're not supposed to say it out loud that you're full, because they're always like 神飢莫神飽, which means that because they're always saying that there's so many like poor people, starving kids out there, so you should never complain about being full. Wow. And you should not even say it out loud.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like manners / I don't know, it's just in general.
Yeah. I think so. So when I was going back to our topic was, you asked me what are some excessive manners that I find unnecessary. Right? I think a lot of the dining stuff I think is excessive, right? The basic ones I could kind of pinpoint it, but the hungry part I really don't understand, because it's like, so I need to fake my hungriness now. Like I think that was a little weird. I also think, what else was weird? I also think one more thing was kind of weird was, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like when you're in a Western restaurant and then everybody has their own different plates, or come in later time or earlier time, you're supposed to wait for everybody, right? Do you think that's necessary?
I think it's...
Or you can eat first.
If your friends don't mind, then...
Yeah,
I think you should just go ahead. Because...
But you have to ask that first, right? No?
Would you really ask? Like, would you actually like ask, can I eat first? Doesn't it seem a little desperate?
That's true.
For food?
I think it depends, right? For me, if I'm close, I would just be like, I'm gonna eat first. Like, also, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, no, go for it, right? But if you're in like a very not close situation,
like business meeting,
then you'll probably wait,
definitely,
right? Yeah, so okay.
Yeah, if you're sharing, then you probably wait as well.
Yeah. So a lot of this unnecessary, we talked about these etiquettes are like dining related, right?
Yeah. So what are some essential? Do you think there are essential like dining etiquettes
that are important?
Yeah, like table manners.
I do think so, because that's kind of, manners tie into a lot of like, it ties not just about you, right? It's gonna people think of manner when they see you as like a very indirect way of like, how your parents raised you, or it's very deeper level. Yeah,
that's it's like one of those questions where you ask a girl like, would you rather have a boyfriend who is would you rather raise a kid who is like smart, or who is like kind and well-mannered.
Either or?
Yeah, either or.
Damn. I can't choose right now.
Damn. So if your kid is like real smart, but also
so
real,
is the well-mannered kind kid dumb?
Yeah.
Like pure dumb? That's very extreme.
Like just very, very average. But the first is like a genius kind of smart, but he's like, because maybe it's
he's
actually
cocky.
Yeah, exactly. It's correlated. He's so smart that he doesn't give a
Shit
damn about everything.
You know what? I might go for the kind-hearted one.
So average kid it is.
Average kid it is, because I think I for me, like, empathy is very essential for a person. I don't think coming into this world, like, it being full on cocky doesn't give you any benefits.
It give you a head start. I mean, cocky doesn't give you anything, but if you're genius, that gives you career. That gives you...
I guess, but I don't want my kid to be cocky, though. Because I actually would lose respect in him, and then our family dynamic will just be very bad.
What if he's cocky, but he's only respectful to you because you're his mother? How about that?
I think I would look at better, like, as a mom, I might think more than that. I would want him to be kind of
fair,
well-spoken in school, right? Because that's a more subtle way of telling that I raised a good child.
Yeah. So it's all about you. It's not about your kid anymore.
What do you mean?
Because you want people to know that you raised a good kid.
But you said that because when they're at school, right? How would they perceive that? I want them to be just all rounded.
Yeah.
If you're cocky, then
true.
You just want single-minded.
True.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh, okay. Anyways, going back.
As a godmother, I'll be okay with whatever person he turns out to be. Okay.
You already just putting it out there as a godmother.
Yeah, of course. Who else is gonna be?
Anyways, okay, going back. What are some manners or etiquettes that you yourself find like, oh, it's quite helpful?
Essential?
Yeah. And that worked in your life.
I do have a list. I think
from A to N.
Yeah, from A to N. Actually, those are just really small things that happens in your day-to-day life, but I think it's very essential. First, offering seeds to those in need.
Aww.
I think that's very, very essential. It's just, you don't even need to like actually like think about that. It's like it should be in your subconscious. Like you see someone who is like standing there, it looks very like, struggling.
Yeah.
You're sitting,
just helping hand.
Yeah, you just help. And then also, I think this is also very important, is to be polite to, when I say like people across all industries, including service, because I see a lot of people who like, if they go to a restaurant, say go to like a fancy restaurant, and they're rude to their servers. Yeah, and not just that. That's just like one of the most common occasions that people could be rude. Just because you have a little more money doesn't make you any better, any more of a person than the server is. Just know that everyone is just out there earning a living. Because I know why I have this thought, because I used to work at a lot of the events, like the music festivals and other like random events in the food and beverage sectors as freelancers. And then I've witnessed a lot of like these like rude customers. Like they just paid, what do they pay, even like, I don't know, $200-$300 to come into music festivals, and they thought they're like these like really like bougie, like customers, high class, and I came to buy a burger, and then there's a long line, so the wait is getting a little bit long, and then maybe the food doesn't come as expected, it looks a bit messy, but you know how it is at events, right? It happens. And this guy, I remember this guy who just like literally yelled at one of the server who handed him a burger, like, who was like, that's the reason why you're just here selling a fucking $100 burgers. That's how
he did nothing
good,
wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You deserve that. That's how good you could ever be. That's basically what you're saying. So that's why always be polite.
Bless him.
Right. Yeah, and then I have more, but do you want to talk about some of them?
I
do you agree with any of them?
I actually agree, and I was like finding like a kind of linkage that all of the ones that you said tie into what we all just said like half an hour ago. Like these people are full on people who don't do these things are very self-centered. Their actions are self-centered, right? But it's because these actions that you just said are very selfless, right? Like when I see a person that offers a seat at the MTR, like for an old person, immediately my thought is, oh, right? That's like the immediate thought. You won't be like that's not your first, right? Because your immediate reaction is, oh, he's so nice, he's so caring. Like these are all the good qualities that you think, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, all the ones, we don't have to like say all of it, but it's quite clear of what we're trying to deliver, like the essentialness of manners and what are the aspects, right, of it.
I think so.
Ooh, I wanted to talk about, we talked about dining etiquette.
Yeah.
Let's kind of briefly go over like work etiquettes.
Sure.
Me and you being out of college for way too long. We've worked for a little bit. Kind of gauge a little like what are some do's, what are some don'ts.
Yeah.
How to present ourselves in a good kind of polite manner.
Work appropriate
professional manner, right? What are some things that you find that like, or can you just kind of make a list that you think it's important at this professional setting to that it ties into like good etiquette? Hopefully some of our listeners are like, I don't know, like college students or like fresh,
Yeah.
Then they would be like, oh, this is so fun to hear.
Ooh, I have a good one.
Inspire us with your wisdom.
Because that actually happens a lot to, I think, people at my workplace. Not exactly my workplace, but from the stories I hear from my friends. Don't always expect people to be nice to you or like do favors for you. It's a bonus. What I mean, let me elaborate.
Yeah.
Like, if you go up to someone,
okay,
even though he or she might be your inferior, like they're like they're superior.
Okay.
And even though, say, your superior actually ask you to like lead the team and assigns these tasks to that person,
ask you to delegate.
Yes.
Okay.
You go up to the person.
Okay.
You should still ask, oh, are you available? Do
Right.
you have a minute? Before directly
do this.
Yes. Or like go ahead and just like, oh, Erica, do you have this? Or Erica, do you know this? No one is like always like available and just like be there
that.
and waiting for you to like instruct him or like ask him stuff.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people make this mistake. I actually make this mistake a lot.
Yeah.
And I get yelled at a lot. Yeah.
Because I think this is a tricky part, because for you, actually, you mean no bad because you're just trying to get the job done.
Yes.
In a efficient manner.
Yes.
And by doing that, without asking all the layered questions, like all the manners.
Yeah, you forget about the manners.
Yeah.
You just like one thing in your mind is like get the thing done.
Get to the point.
Yes. And you assume that everyone is like
available.
At exact same level of like availability as you are. And everyone actually have so many more priorities that you couldn't imagine. So I think that's very important. Workplace etiquette that,
I think so. I like that.
Yeah. What do you have?
I think I have so many. I'm trying to think of one that I really like. I think also very, you could say is a little bit superficial, but it's like instead of saying thank you in person, like I would want to kind of dive down like in the digital world, like how you present yourself is actually quite important. Like say a work email, right? Actually kind of ties into what you said too. Like I would actually be more even kinder in email than in person. Like it should be very using professional words. It should be very structured. You should always have a thank you. You should always have best regards. Like all these, like I would kind of label these as good manners / etiquettes, right? Because people that you email is people that sometimes you may never meet or if you never met in your life, right? So their impression of you digitally is their impression of you as a person. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like it's a little tell, but
agree.
but I think that the email kind of interaction and digital interaction.
Yeah, especially when you've not met that person in person.
Exactly, and it's like a client, right? It's
yes.
How do you present yourself? Because there's so many ways to structure your sentences and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you structure yourself to make them want to work with you or like you? Be like, oh, Erica is a really good asset to this company, whatever, you know.
Yeah, especially like you have a very like maybe a polite tone, but they can't even hear you.
Exactly.
So you want to make them like, you know, can actually absorb the whole like polite joys.
Exactly, because your sentence and your email is your voice.
Yes, exactly.
It's your phone call, right, to them in a sense. So I think that's one of them. And then I think actually reading the room and reading your work environment, having that like social sense is very important to create these good manners, because I think every company or dynamic is very different. Whether it's I think corporate is very different. I think a startup company interacts very different.
Yeah.
Maybe you say, I don't know, less thank you, or it's like there's step 1, step 2, like please do this, please do this. It's more structured in a corporate world, but maybe in a startup it's like it's actually just a WhatsApp, right? And then how do you deliver that WhatsApp message? How do you just tell your manager to do this simple thing, but not in the email? You have to actually call them, and how do you call them in a good manner, right?
True.
So there's so many of these dynamics that I think it does take time and experience to build up, and your social awareness, right? Because if you don't care about these, then I think you're just gonna struggle a lot too, because people might create false assumption about you. You know, like if you sometimes forgot or you don't really care about manner, then they'll be like, oh, that's a perception of how they see you, right? It's like maybe she's not that great of a person.
I want to talk about these two like common workplace or just in general etiquettes, social etiquettes, small talks and compliments. Do you think those are necessary?
Small talks and compliments.
Yeah, indulging in small talks. You know how like
at a workplace?
Workplace or like in general social setting. Do you think those are necessary, or like just, you know, it's like a pretentious thing? And also complimenting people all the time.
Okay, all the time, very unnecessary. Right time, right place, compliment will make them feel good about themselves, will make them maybe want to do some tasks for you, beneficial to you and them, and work. Okay. Small talks and interactions, like small, maybe like you do after work hour drinks, I don't know, those things I think also should happen, or you should have occasionally at a distance, because I think when you're already creating such a big distance with your coworkers, having that little bridge happy hour to make things more personable, it does benefit. I would say for me, it benefits me to kind of, because my work is a lot of collaborating with my coworkers and understanding the way they work, understanding the way they talk and present, or how they function. So doing these occasional small talks or drinks help me gauge them better, and be like, oh, how I could do this project next time even better and more efficiently, because the way they communicate is this way. But I don't agree, and I don't think you need to make your coworkers or colleagues your besties. I don't think that's necessary at all.
Because you know, when sometimes you run into this coworker at the elevator or on the street, or this client. You guys just have a meeting, finish a meeting, and you're like walking down to the car park, collect to the MTR station together.
Yeah.
Maybe actually deep down your client doesn't want to talk, and then your boss doesn't want to talk.
Yeah.
But it's like manners that you like,
you have to create small talks to seem engaging.
Yes. So do you do that or do you not? That's the kind of questions that I don't know, I think about it sometimes. I ponder on that. Just maybe it depends on a person, you know.
Yeah.
If you can sense that your boss is very okay with not talking, then don't even try. Because I'm the type of person, I've grown to be the type of person that is very okay with not talking at all. Yeah, I used to be very like not comfortable with this like awkward situation,
this silence.
Yeah, the awkward silence. But now I'm like,
you're okay with it.
Yeah, I'm very okay with it, because I actually don't want to, you know, use any of my brain power to think about questions that I actually don't give a shit about. Like, I don't give a shit if you answer. I don't care about the pet at your pet or
your pet
or your dinner last night. I don't care.
Yeah, that's true. I think personality thing. Because
what do you mean?
Some people love talking, no?
Oh yeah.
So to them, small talk is not a burden.
Yeah.
But why just like I have time to kill, I might as well talk to you. You know, like there's people like that. And then there's people that are, you know, more so like you, or maybe sometimes like me too. Like I'm just so tired. Like I don't want to
talk.
My time is so limited, and you know, like
If it's an interesting person, it's an interesting conversation. Of course, like go ahead.
Yeah.
If it's just like small talks for the sake of small talks, then I'll give it. I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's overrated sometimes.
I think everything in quality is always quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
The way you use manner, like don't over excess it, respect it, right time, right place. And I think, you know what, that's already sufficient.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Did you want to share your unpopular opinion?
I think we kind of covered it just now. Yeah, kind of. It's just, you know, some people, some very like sarcastic and what is that word, cynical people out there would simply just think that manners are this is funny. I got it off Reddit. Basically it's manners are just words which waste more time and don't really serve any purpose. I couldn't care less about your please or thank you, and I don't see why I should use them. They don't make my day any better or worse, and probably wouldn't make your day any better. Just bullshit rules that we have to go by thanks to society. It's a very cynical way of saying it. I mean, my take on this whole episode are just like on manners in general. I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Some of them is like completely justifiable.
Yeah.
Some of them though, I think it's a little unnecessary. It really doesn't serve any purpose.
Agree.
People doing it just for the sake of doing it. Yeah, and those I think sometimes we can just, you know, get rid of them.
Yeah. Do you think all these manners are still very profound and very important in this society, or is it, I don't know, like because of COVID you actually see less people? Like people are more introverted now. People are working from home, staying home more, home based. So it's like, are these manners still valid?
Some of them.
Some of the basic ones, I think.
Yeah, I guess especially when people don't really meet up, you know, in person these days.
Yeah.
Like the digital email thing. I think you bring up a really good point.
Yeah.
I think that one is necessary. Essential. Because, you know, it's just like you want your counterparty, the person that you're writing to feel, at least acknowledge that you are showing some sort of manners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not to the extent where it's like too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the right amount of manner puts a good energy and good tone
Yeah.
in the way you kind of interpret things, right?
Yes.
So
definitely.
so definitely I really like this convo because the more I feel like the more we talk, the more I understand why I care about manners. You know what I'm trying to say? Like at first when we were trying to write this, I'm like, I actually don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But now at the end of this convo, I know why it's important to me. I know the root of it, and you know the root of yours. What are some things that we find are important? What are some things we could probably take out?
Yeah.
And just identify it, right? And these are these things you don't talk about because you just kind of like mindlessly use it.
Yes.
There's no purpose. I think when you adapt manners or everything that you say, right? Manners is digitally, and also we're talking about conversational manners, right? Or gestures.
Yeah.
It's really an interpersonal relationship. It's the way you present yourself. And these things, sometimes people just do it without thinking. And now that we're bringing it up, you can be, hopefully everybody will be more aware of, conscious about why they say the things and do the things they do.
Agreed. I mean, again, we always focus on the stuff that is like
there,
common. It's just there, but like easily ignored or like overlooked.
That's true.
That is
like
why
that.
we talk about it.
I like the path we're going, Erica.
Yeah, I think we're slowly finding our direction
because we truly enjoy the things that we talk about.
We talk about these things all the time. Actually,
it's and also like we do a little bit of research. Hopefully you guys can find insight in that. We use a little bit of our personal experience to adapt to these conversations, and hopefully you guys can relate.
Let us know if you think any of these like manners that we talked about are like necessary or like are essential, or any other manners or common social etiquettes that you just have an opinion on. Let us know.
Agree. So thank you guys for listening, and we hope your day is as peachy as this episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Like and rate this podcast on Spotify and iTunes.
Comment or DM us on any of our social media platform as well. Talk to you in the next one.
Bye.